The van is back. The van is back. She's back. She's in action. She's driving great. Actually, she's driving better than she did before. And she drove very smooth and quiet then as well. But if I wouldn't have gone this route, we would have not had a vehicle for the remainder of the weekend, possibly into mid next week. Now, I'm very fortunate that I stumbled upon the mechanic in our mobile home park. He is a resident there. Someone's like, how do you have a mechanic in your mobile home park? He lives there. Him and his son repair vehicles. They also buy vehicles fairly cheap, fix them up over a couple months' time, and they sell those as well. So someone wanted to know all these things that I didn't put into detail. I got tons of questions, comments. I got a lot of negativity in my last few videos. And I'm not talking about the budgeting ones because I feel like budgeting is specific to you, your situation, and your household. But I feel like I need to dress it up, clean it up, rewind, reel it in, and talk about all the things when it comes to your questions, your comments, your concerns, because it is very important to me that this community stays pretty transparent and open. Now, I do want to make an effort to be as transparent and honest as I can on this channel, because that is what I've been creating from the beginning of this channel. But there are some things that have been brought up. So let's get into some of the questions and concerns. So someone wanted to know how I ended up with this van. How did I get it? How did I obtain the money? How did I do all the things? So you guys know, if you've been here for a while, I cash stuff, I do budgeting, I do low income finance, and I know everyone hates that I say low income, but I'd rather be honest with you than for you to think that I'm going to be able to go and do certain things with a larger income, okay? But I do cash stuffing, I do budgeting, we talk about sinking funds, we talk about saving for our future selves. We have talked a lot about moving and trying to gain a better network, a better community, a better area for resource. But the honest truth is that I got the money from saving money. If you didn't see the video where I unstuffed all of my banks, you missed out, and you can go watch it. But over the last year, I have been putting money into different little coin banks, and I have been saving extra cash, tips, whatever I could, from DoorDash or something that I didn't have to spend as much money on, went into my bank, Hamlet, which we just named Hamlet. Technically, my youngest child named him Hamlet. And we kind of made it a vote in members. But we've been saving money. We've been saving money, even though it may not be a lot. A couple dollars here, a couple dollars there, $5 here, $5 there. Even if we were saving coins, we were still saving money over the last year. And even though we had to pull from a lot of other resources and we have some really great community members, we still only had so much money to work with. So this is a 2006 Honda Odyssey. For whatever reason, I don't know where you guys got that I was gonna go have a heyday and buy myself a brand new car. That was not happening. That was not happening. If you've seen my budgeting videos, you know I can't afford a car payment or a car note on my income. Nope. Even though I've had a car note one time before, which you guys know about that if you've been here for a while, then you know that I was struggle bussing it. Really, really struggle bussing it. 1 month to the next, paycheck to paycheck, and all the different things. And even though I'm still living paycheck to paycheck, it's one less thing I don't have to pay for, which was a huge concern. Why don't you have a car payment? Why don't you have a guarantee? It's a car, sweetie. There ain't no guarantee. Sorry. No guarantee. So I ended up buying this car, used, very used, 19 years old, 2006 Honda Odyssey. And I was struggling to find a car in my price range. And it's not that I didn't want to buy a car from the mechanic in the mobile home park. He didn't have anything available, and he had nothing in my price range, and everything that he had done was valid to whatever car he was working on. Replacing a motor, doing an alternator, starter, transmission type situation. Deserves that. So I wasn't going to sit there and be like, hey, can you sell me a car for a couple grand, even though you put all of that work into it? No. We needed an immediate car here and the now. So when we purchased this car, we got it looked at by a mechanic. That was one huge concern, because someone was like, well, didn't you get it looked at by a mechanic? Yes, I got it looked at by a mechanic, but it's a 19-year-old car. There is no guarantee with anybody looking at your car, just so you are aware. That's why dealerships give you a warranty. That's why they send out information to you saying that they did a recall on a part. Nothing you buy is going to be perfect. Whether it is from a car lot or whether it is from someone on the internet. And I only have this much money to work with, so I had to do what I had to do. And I purchased the car after the mechanic looked at it. It was free for him to look at it. He had it for an hour. But there's no guarantee. Once it drives off the lot, he doesn't know what you're doing with it. He doesn't know how many miles you're putting on it down the road. All the different things that you're doing while you're driving. They don't know from 1 second to the next if you're gonna have a problem. Let's be fair. No one's gonna guarantee it. No one. So it did get looked at by a mechanic, but they don't have a crystal ball. It's the best answer I can give. The other thing that I got a lot of flack for was some of my bills in my budgeting video. Why don't you? Well, that's my budget, not yours. It's not your budget, it's mine. And I have to deal with the consequences of whatever is on my budget. And sometimes we don't get to choose. Someone was like, well, have you thought about asking the mobile home park if they didn't want you to pay water, sewage, garbage 2 months ago, why you're paying it again? It's in their clause. They can charge me for water, sewage, garbage if they want to. It's their park. It's in their paperwork. They didn't make us pay. I don't know what the reason is, but they didn't make us pay. I got a lot of concerns when it came to, Amanda, what are you going to do when you are at work and Jordan's at work and you need a ride, or you need to go pick up children? Are you going to get an e-bike? Are you going to get a bicycle? Are you going to get money saved aside for Uber, Lyft fees and all the things? I get it. I'm worried about that too. But in all reality, e-bikes are not cheap. Nope, they're not cheap. They're like $600 at Costco. If you buy a cheap one, because my previous boss had one, her first one was very cheap. She's like, I think I paid like $249.99 for it on Amazon, and it broke down in the first 3 months I had it. She now has a very nice e-bike, but it's like $900. It's a lot of money for an e-bike. $600 at Costco is not easy to come by. And any money I had in my emergency fund had to be utilized on this van. Because that is the reality. The van always comes first. No matter where we live in these tiny little country bumpkin towns, you're going to have to drive to go to the city for your doctor appointment and for any sort of major grocery shopping. All of the cheap stores, the chain stores, are not in my town. I got to drive there to get there. And as a matter of fact, it's just a part of living here. Everybody has to travel to the main city areas. It sucks. I wish they had a better bus system. They don't have a bus here. They do in other places, but it's really not that great. I don't live in Portland. I don't live in Eugene. So there is no ability to say that I'm going to buy an e-bike, then do what? Go pick up my kids with the e-bike? I don't know. Maybe if I was just going to work and I didn't have to deal with responsibilities of certain things like kids, I could probably e-bike it to work. I don't have a regular bicycle. Regular bikes sure got expensive. Regular bikes got expensive. Crazy. And if you buy a cheap bike, you get what you pay for. We have a friend that only bikes, has never drove, doesn't have a car. This guy has had to bike 12 miles to get to work. And then 12 miles trekking it home. That is some serious biking. That means somebody wanted it that bad, needed it that bad. Now, I had been walking to work, no big deal. At first, of course, no one loves it. But, gotta do what you gotta do to survive. And you make arrangements for the other people in your life that need those arrangements. So, I hope that clears some of that up. Let's talk about some of the other comments, questions I received. I'm not going to address negative comments. I'm not going to address snide comments. I'm not going to address mean comments because it's not necessary. I don't need it. You don't need it. We don't need it. But I did have questions where someone was like, well, if you could just move tomorrow, what about if you moved into another area of Oregon? Would that be better for you and your family? The answer is I'm living as cheap as it's going to get in my area of Oregon. This is the cheapest I'm ever going to live in Oregon. Ever. Like ever in all of time. And the only reason for that is because we live in a mobile home park and we own the mobile home. And even though it's an old 1966 single wide, we're very, very fortunate for that. But if something happened to that mobile home, or if we had to be in a situation where we had to sell it, the answer is no, I could not afford to go live in Portland. No, I could not pay market rent in Eugene. I could not. I can't even afford market rent in my hometown, in my home city. I can't afford it. So, unfortunately, time and time again, and I don't know why I've done it, but I've looked at Zillow, cried my eyes out, made my peace with myself and said, we just can't afford it. So I have to look into other areas or states, specifically states, cheaper states to live in. And every state has its downfalls. Let's be real. We can go over the list of all the things woulda, coulda, shoulda, could happen tomorrow. This could be something that's, not very great. I could have a distaste for, this particular situation. That's just life. Sometimes you have to do what you've got to do, and you're going to have to just make it work, because people do it all the time. They live in unfortunate, distasteful, awful situations all the time and have to make it. I don't love where I live. I don't love the town I live in. I don't necessarily want to live in this town forever. I have came onto this. I rolled up into YouTube land, and I, in the first year of living here, made it really sound dumpy. Because let's face facts, it is dumpy. It sucks. And I actually don't know anybody who really loves living here. I don't. I've never met somebody who's like, I really love living here. Maybe if they grew up here and they know nothing else. Maybe. But I get a lot of questions and concerns about moving. Moving's not cheap. Moving from the little city we were living in to my current here in the now in the mobile home park was expensive. It was a couple of grand. I think it was like $1,500 just to move stuff. It was ridiculous. It was sad. It was a very, very eye-opening moment where you realize that it's not cheap to move. And moving states is even more expensive. And you have to think of all of the variables. And I'm not going to move to a state that I've never been to. I would want to visit there first. I would want to stomp the pavement. I'd want to, go into jobs where I know I've worked before, or someplace that I know that I would like to work, and ask questions. Why not? What does it hurt? Wish I would have done that here, but the choice I had was to pay really expensive market rent with my very low income and hope to survive, or move along to the mobile home park where we had an opportunity to survive, maybe even strive. But the economy's been terrible. It is what it is at the end of the day. And we're struggling to even make it here. There are no job opportunities. There's no transportation. There is no up and coming anything here. Nothing. And it breaks my heart. But I can't afford to move tomorrow. I can't afford to move in a week. We have narrowed down a few states that we could possibly afford to live in. Do I want to necessarily live in those states? Probably not. But yet again, it goes back to, I need to survive. There are states that I wish I could live in, but I can't. And I'm not going to look in those states, because why would I? I'm giving myself a taste of what I'm dealing with here in Oregon, saying, oh, Amanda, look at that house. It's not obtainable, because I'm a realist. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is that I get to pick and choose the things that I share on this channel. And the more this channel grows, the more things will change. The more that certain things and certain topics get brought up, the less I want to share more. Because I could be an open book. Every one of my friends in face-to-face time, like in the flesh, in non-YouTube land, know that I am a very, very transparent and honest person, and I will talk about just about anything. But I can't do that on the internet, because this is the internet. So some things that I keep getting asked questions about, which really kind of make me want to ask you a question, because it is a very honest question. You see tons of YouTube channels, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of channels out there. You see big ones out there. They're not discussing how much they're making from their channel. They're not talking about the financial end of their channel. The other thing that I notice is that not all budgeting people show budgeting stuff. Some people are so interested in saving that even though they may be whatever their name is, budgets, they're really just a savings channel where they're saving a lot of money, or they're paying down debt with the savings. Some people go on vacations, so they're more of a savings channel. This is not a savings channel. This is a true budgeting channel where we talk about real life budgeting and the ugly parts and all the things, but there are certain things I'm not going to share on this channel, and I have plenty of reasons for it. And some of it is safety. So I need to feel safe in making content. I get to choose what goes on this channel. I get to choose what I share and what I don't. If I don't share it, there's a reason for it. If I don't share it, it's because there's a lot of distrust on this internet that we so rely on so very much. So when you think about things, you really have to think it through. So my question is if you were to create a channel, or if you are a content creator, it's kind of a two-part question. What would you share? What is something you're passionate about in sharing on YouTube or to other people, because this is a community? And how would you go about someone being very invasive about certain things you want to be private about? It's a good question, isn't it? Some people are going to be like, I could never have a channel. If that's your answer, leave it down below. Leave it down below. Because there's lots of things I don't share. You guys have never seen my full gig work income and how much I've actually made doing DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, Spark, Instacart over the years. I can tell you it's not much compared to previous years by far, because it's now luxury to dine out and to have someone deliver your groceries or your dinner. You're no longer taking an Uber to go to an event or go to the airport because you don't have any money to travel, and going to that event now costs 3 times as much as it was before. But if you are a content creator, maybe you can shine some light in the comments down below. Let me know, how do you deal and how do you differentiate between sharing something on YouTube and keeping something private? What are some things that you would never want to share on the internet? What are some things you choose are private? You're like, no, that's going too far. Reel it back in. Because I'm curious. I want to know. Some of it is just not sharing all my personal life. I'm not going to come on here and talk about my relationship with my husband. We're not going to do husband-wife videos. We've also decided that we're not going to have our children on this channel because I'm not going to exploit my children on the internet. I also am a heavy believer in having boundaries. I can choose to show my consistent income. And that is fair. Because other income is not guaranteed. It's just not. And that's okay. It's a cherry on top. It's the whipped cream. It's the dessert after dinner that my 10-year-old asked for. What about dessert? What about dessert? It's not going to happen every night. It's not going to happen every single month. It's not going to be the same amount of dessert that you had the previous month. I could make a video and that video do well, and the other one that I make that's pretty much similar to that one only do half as good. I can unstuff my piggy banks and that video do well, but my regular budgeting video only gets a few views or a few hundred views comparatively. I'm not going to show everything in my life on this channel. I share as much as I feel comfortable with, and I honestly feel like I share more than I should at times. So please be nice to me. Please be nice to me. It's only fair. I'm just creating something for you to watch. And hopefully educating, and hopefully inspiring, and hopefully I'm reaching other people out in the distance that are struggling like I am. Show them, hey, here's a little glimpse of hope. This is what I'm doing. Maybe you can relate. Maybe you're like, oh my gosh, my car broke down last week. I had a lot of comments like that. Lots and lots of comments like that. Hey, I bought a brand new car. This fell off while I was driving and I had to pay for it out of my own pocket and it wasn't covered in my warranty. I had lots of those. I had tons and tons of nice people in comments. I have a lovely community of people who care and actually watch. I have tons of people on this channel who message me on Instagram. I have a wonderful members group. I share more in members than I do over here. So if that's something you're interested in, go check it out. If it's not, that's okay too. But I'm glad to have this community. I'm glad to have my channel. I'm very thankful for all the things I have. I have a roof. I have my 3 cots. I have my 4 cots. My hot, and I have internet. I have a phone. I have my vehicle back. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I have a job. My husband now has a job. I have a job in a field I've never done before. Very blessed for that. Never happened to me before in my whole life. Very, very thankful. Very thankful. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm not thankful and I'm being rude and snide and all these other things. But there has to be a put on the brakes, stop moment sometimes on this platform. Just has to happen. So, as always, if you're on a low income or not, you can only do what you can with what you've got because it's all you have to work with. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.